Hello everyone, I am Rayron. Welcome back. I want to just show you guys what I've been working on for the last pretty much month or so. That's why I haven't been uploading any videos on the channel recently. But I've been basically combining multiple tables that I have from the last videos into one essentially. So I'm kind of calling this modular layout kind of the Mythical Lands. One side we've got the Crystal City. The other side we actually have the Dragon Town. And I'll get a little bit closer here. So this side is basically the city, and obviously it's after buildings that are actually built, not IRL. You've got One World Trade Center, the Freedom Tower essentially, Sears Tower, or Willis Tower I should say, Empire State, and the Chrysler Building. So that makes up this side. Obviously the table's still a work in progress. I still gotta paint it and all that good stuff, gotta ballast the track and everything. We got the HO scale rail yard where I do mini operations. And then over here we have the Dragon Town. Basically your typical Christmas porcelain houses. And these guys will be featured in a lot of videos, which I can't wait. In the center we've got my Christmas tree for this year. Again, I don't do the big Christmas trees. I actually like that small one because it actually goes with the layout. Again, not to scale or anything, but I really don't care. So yeah, we got all the village buildings here. I'll be definitely using this building often. Be a lot for my unboxing videos and my gaming videos. And that is a kitten terrorizing the village. She's probably gonna knock off my Christmas tree. This is a Mary. Yep. Uh-oh. I also hear her sister underneath me. You're terrorizing the town, kitten. She's wondering what I'm doing. So yeah, the track on this side is, I haven't really finished it, but I don't think I'm actually going to lay down the actual track. I like this Bachmann track. And then in all actuality, I wish one thing I could have done was have this whole layout in Bachmann track, because that allows me to move this modular layout a lot easier. And something that I've noticed is with this Bachmann Easy Track, and you'll hear it too when I run a train, this Bachmann track, when you have some sort of contour or some sort of layer underneath it, is a lot quieter than this table actually has foam installation as the top, and then on this side it's just a wood top. So you're actually getting 3 different types of tabletop when it comes to this particular layout. So it was quite an interesting experiment to hear the different sound qualities when the train runs on top of these tables. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. And like I said, this scale here is HO scale. Now my railroad, or fantasy railroad, I guess you want to call it now, it's going to be the Dragon's Railroad, but in all actuality, it's everything based on Union Pacific and it's family heritage trees. So anything that was bought by Union Pacific or the first tier family companies bought is what I basically model. So I've got a lot of Union Pacific cattle cars. I've got, this is 4002 Big Boy from River Rossi. This guy right here is a geared engine. I love my geared engine. The Shays, the Heislers, the Climaxes. I think, if I remember correctly, this is a 3-truck Heisler engine. It's basically got the gears in the center instead of the gears on the side like some of these big boys and other engines have. This is a gas turbine. This is the first tier gas turbines. And you have the verandas, and then you have the big blows. Southern Pacific back there with A and B F units. The Black Widow. paint scheme. One thing I've been trying to do is keep all the engines that are DC on the right hand table when you're looking at it. And then this side is most of my DCC stuff, but most of my DCC stuff is still in boxes. So this is a Rayron 4018 DCC engine. This locomotive back here, try to pick it up. Sorry if the camera's shaking, I'm kind of reaching over a little bit. This is one of my, definitely, one of my more favorite engines up and coming. I just bought this about a month ago. It's a Christmas Broadway Limited 462 engine that actually plays Christmas songs. You can configure it. You can configure it and the sound comes out of the tender, and it's basically a singing jukebox, which is awesome. Definitely a huge fan. I call it the Rayron engine because it's got the same color scheme as the mascot, as the dragon. That's why I bought it. I saw that, it's like, this is mine. I love it. Okay, let's see what else. So I'll show you underneath kind of the brains of the operation. So this configuration was inspired by another YouTuber called SMT Mainline, and he actually had a video on how to have a layout convert from DC to DCC. Now I don't use the toggle switch yet, and that's more of a safety feature because then I basically manually switch from DC to DCC wiring wise, because that way that lets me know exactly which controller is powering the layout. So right now I have it configured to DC. But basically all that wiring comes up to here. So if I want DCC, I basically unplug these wires. I'll eventually color code these wires to let me know which one's which. But again, that's more of a safety feature, so that way I don't burn out you know, a DCC engine that's not DC compatible and vice versa. So that's why I like doing it manually. Now one thing I like about Digitrax, so there's two different types, or there's multiple types of DCC systems. My local club uses DC or Digitrax, which is why I kind of started with it. And Digitrax allowed me a very cheap entry into DCC. Since I'm so used to DC controllers, they have this DCC controller that's very similar style to DC controllers. And it's fairly cheap too, it's like 50 bucks when I got this. But it allows me to configure CV values, allows me to write road numbers, and I'm just a big fan of it, to be honest. Personally, I wish I had NCE system, but for entry-level DCC, this was fantastic. It's like the DCS50. And then this little guy right here is called an LNWI. Now what I like about this is that you connect it into the controller here, or command center, and it gives me Wi-Fi capability to run any DCC engine from my phone. Obviously you gotta download an app, but it allows me to control any trains from my phone, which I think is fantastic. All my box storage down here, basically I just use leftover wood that I haven't used from when I was building the legs of these modulars here. And same thing over here. That's basically all my rolling stock. And then all my DC engines. That's a Sarah. That is the other twin sister. I have Siamese twins. This is Sarah right here. She's the sassy one. Oh, I didn't even notice. Right behind her is my foster kitten, Kiku. You guys liking the modular layout, I see? Yeah, these guys are trolls. Absolute trolls. So, I'll show you some of the handiwork that I did. Again, it's not the greatest because I don't build things often, so I can share you some of my lessons learned. So these two I actually got from a member of mine from the club. So these were already pre-built. But what I basically did was I extended the leg so that way it's a little bit more waist height level. So I think it's like 56 inches tall. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I made it tall enough so that way I can look at eye level instead of trying to look lower, because I have back problems. So I try to raise it so that way it helps with my back. But yeah, it's basically got this PVC pipe configuration so that way the legs easily attach and detach. It's really handy when you have two people, but when you're by yourself, it gets interesting to say the least when trying to tilt these up. I got my C-clamps right there connecting everything together. And then these are just the feeder wires to help the track get better power. And then I had to construct basically the turnaround table. So this is, I think, a 4x4 turnaround table. So I got one on that side, one on the other side. Now that one was the first one that I built, and there was a lot of lessons learned on that one. So I'll start on this side. So one thing that you'll notice is that I didn't make the same width. Reason being is I was trying to condense on weight, but then I had to figure out the clamping situation. Now normally you would use D-clamps, but none of the stores around here had D-clamps. So what I ended up having to do is put a little piece of wood right here to extend it down so that way the normal C-clamp can clamp the two together. I've done that on both sides. Now everyone tends to ask, from what I've been doing my research, what type of legging configuration some people do. So for this configuration, it's a free floater leg, meaning that nothing's connected to this box, and these legs easily slide in and out. It happens on all four sides. Now the problem with this is that, yeah, it's very handy when moving because all the legs attach and detaches. But when you're, again, I'm just by myself, for one person, trying to prop up this table was a nightmare because these legs will just simply fall out when I try to do it upright. So you'll see how I did that with the other table, and I still need to modify this one. So again, one piece of advice is definitely understand your situation when trying to put these tables upright. And Mary's trying to hunt my finger. So yeah, now obviously I don't have the feeder wire connected yet. All my power to my track is connected via the connectors on the track on the top. But ideally, when I get the time, I'll have the feeder wire coming down here so that way I'll feed the tracks from the top. Alright, I'll show you the other table. So the table over here is actually a little bit different. Because I'm by myself, I went with this very long screw with these, I think it's called bow nuts. So basically I drilled a hole, hi Mary, you're such a troll. So basically I used these screws, or bolts I should say, and drilled a hole, and then I connected it with those nuts right there. So what this allowed me to do was that I assembled it on the floor, and when I propped it upright, it stayed in place. Like I said, for a single guy like me, this was a lot easier to mess with. I mean, now, the only issue with this system is that it does take time to assemble and disassemble the legs, but it definitely sped up the time to set everything up. And there's the C-clamps again. But as you can see, oops, sorry, it's out of focus. I've done that for all four, and this was a much better system for me. But I sacrificed the time it takes to set up, which it's a fair compromise. So yeah, that is basically the setup. Now I'll go ahead and run everyone's favorite blue engine here, so that way you guys can hear kind of the difference between foam top tables, wood top tables, and the Easy Track with the cloth system table. Alright, I'll set these guys up here. And sorry, I'm kind of jerking the camera around. I'll figure out a system for this eventually. Cool. All right, let's come down here. So So one thing I do, since everything is old, is I tend to disconnect everything. And this, again, this just lets me know exactly which controller is connected, because I don't want to burn out any engines because I put the wrong controller in. Okay, power is on. Alright. Oops. So you can just hear the sound difference. It's kind of amazing the differences. Mary! You just killed Thomas. You just knocked over Thomas. Okay, let me fix this real quick. Sorry. This is the joys of having cats. I love them to pieces. But they're such a troll. Oh, and Thomas went onto the siding. Because I wasn't paying attention. Alright, let's fix this. Okay, let's back you up. Switch that over. Hi Mary, I'm looking at you. And this side of the table does have cork on the bottom. You guys were wondering. Don't do it. Don't do it. Trying to stop my cat from knocking Thomas over. What am I gonna do with you, kitten? Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna have to kick the cat off. But yeah, that's basically the layout. Man, let's focus. Come on, let's focus. Thank you. So yeah, that's basically my fantasy modular layout. Basically, I'm calling it Mythical Lands for right now. That name may change. I don't know. But it's definitely going to be the focal point of a lot of my content. So I'm hoping to eventually have probably some photos on the background. Maybe I'll have a shelf that has like all my pop vinyls and a lot of pop culture-y things on that background. But I definitely look forward to the progress of this area. So with you guys, hopefully you found this video entertaining, and thank you guys for watching. I'm Rayron, and I'll see you on the next video.